Hey, everybody. I hear this a lot. People ask me, will they be a drug addict or an alcoholic because their parents or their grandparents were, so they just assume that they will too, right? And that's not necessarily true. Even though your parents or your grandparents may have passed you down a gene, it makes you predisposed to addiction. However, it doesn't mean that you're going to automatically be an addict of some sort. If you lived in a state and they didn't sell alcohol and you have that gene for alcoholism, you could never be an alcoholic, right? If you never picked up alcohol, although you have that gene for alcoholism, you will never be an alcoholic. But if you do decide to pick up alcohol and four things are present, then addiction can flourish. Those four things. Since addiction is a biopsychosocial spiritual disorder, you have to have that predisposition. That's the gene that was passed down from a parent or a grandparent. You have to have an environment that's okay with you using, right? Had you ever been in somebody's house and be like, you ain't using in here. You take that shit somewhere else. So you can't use over there, right? You have to have access to your drugs of choice, right? There's no liquor stores nowhere, how you gonna be an alcoholic? Come to the hood. They on every corner, okay? Or there has to be a spiritual void. So when those four things are present, addiction can take place. You have the predisposition, the genetic. You have the place where everybody's using, nobody cares about you using. You have access to your drugs, and there's a spiritual void. When those things are present, then addiction takes place, right? Just because my granny and them like to, drink a little bit, they like to drink a lot. They little alcoholics over there, little alkies over there, right? Am I going to be an alcoholic too? Not necessarily, right? But we just have to be careful about those who we invite in our lives. Understand that there is a possibility if things come together, right? And it's easy for those things to come together because we find ourselves in environments we ain't got no business in yet, right? But just because my parents or my grandparents suffer from addiction doesn't necessarily mean that I will, right? So, and I say this, if addiction is your thing, shit, you got off lucky because you don't need drugs. The drugs that we use, the recreational drugs that we use for our entertainment, we don't really need those to live, right? So imagine if you dealt with a food addiction. I think that would be more harder than stopping the drugs because we need food to live. So, we all accept that on this realm, everybody, and I mean everybody, is going to go through something. So if we are dealing with addiction, we just get honest about that, because if we stay in denial about that, it's just going to make the situation worse. This is the situation. This is where I'm at. This is what I need to do. And my whole life is waiting for me, right? My whole life is waiting for me, right? So yeah. Hope, we're going to keep hope alive. And if you're struggling with addiction, you could do this. And we do it how? Ask for help. And we do it one day at a time. Right? Right. But yeah, that spiritual void, I think that's the most important component that we're missing. That relationship that we have with that higher source, it's been severed somewhere. We don't trust it no more. Right? We got to learn how to trust something other than ourselves, because our best thinking, right? Listen to somebody else, especially when they're there to help you, right? Listen. Your life is at stake if you cross over into addiction, right? People dying every day. And those who gonna die today, they're opening up the way for you to live. But you better recognize that. But yeah, addiction is serious. But you can't overcome it. Just for the day. So you might got to tell them friends, hey, right? I like y'all, but this behavior, I can't have it in my life. It's killing me, right? Work on that connection with your higher source, which is just working on self. Working on all that hurt, pain, shame, guilt, fear that's on the inside of you. Cleaning that shit up is going to get you closer to that higher source, right? I promise. But yeah. Biopsychosocial spiritual disorder. That's addiction. Because my grandparents, my parents were addicts. Am I going to be one? Not necessarily. You just make sure self-care is the best care, right? Right. Anyway, I'm going to get on up out of here. But if anybody have a question, if you need any help, or if you know anybody who needs help, brownbuildingllc@gmail.com, right? If I cannot help you, I know so many people, y'all, that would love to help you, right? Have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. Y'all know I'll be back with the next video. But yeah, addiction, a biopsychosocial spiritual disorder. Y'all be good.